Rajdeep, which is the big question, 2024 verdict, what is the big message? Is there one big message?
Thanks very much, Shiv. And before I get into the cut and thrust or the noise of a democratic newsroom debate, I want to say this right up front. This is the election that has humbled India. It has humbled the arrogant Neta. It has humbled the know-it-all pollsters. And most of all, particularly I want to say it on the democratic newsroom, it's humbled the hyper-partisan and cheerleading media. I do believe, and I'm including myself here, Shiv, we got carried away at times with the noise of the drumbeat, Aayega to Modi hi, and saw 2024 as a done deal months before even the election began.
Yeah.
And some of us, and I don't include myself here this time, were even trumpeting absurdly this 400 par nonsense, because it was always nonsense. To talk even of 400 par, you only had to see the reality. And therefore, Shiv, in this spirit of humility, I wish to acknowledge that in the future, no one should ever project, for example, an exit poll as an exact poll or an actual poll. Maybe next time, and here I include myself, we should trust our reporter instincts that told me this election was a state-by-state competition. I wrote about it, and yet, in the noise of this exit poll telling us 400 par, I'm afraid that I let down some of my viewers. And today, I genuinely feel, after so many years in this profession, we should have known better than trust exit polls as exact polls. They provide a trend, but don't get carried away by them next time. And don't get carried away by the noise in a democratic newsroom. I've got that off my chest. Now you're
from elections on your plate to humble pie, from exit polls, from elections on your plate.
It could be a farewell speech if you want. That's what you want.
No, there are no farewells. Raj,
no, she may well.
Just to I want to make it clear to all of our viewers that Rajdeep says farewell after every election. Nobody will allow him to say farewell because he is a part of the journalistic world as far as elections is concerned and politics is concerned. So no, you're not going anywhere. You definitely cannot retire. I just want to say, from elections on my plate to humble pie on the plate of exit pollsters and many others, I would say is your big takeaway from this election. Gaurav, and then I'll go to the others. Yeah.
So it's a humble pie for those who said India is an elected autocracy. It's humble pie for those who said there's democratic backslide. This election is the biggest victory of the people of India. Fortunately, the electronic voting machine will not be tarnished. Fortunately, Indian democracy will not be tarnished. Fortunately, the people of India will not be tarnished that they are the ones who voted, some autocrat. So, people of India
have always voted surprisingly in all elections.
Absolutely.
That has always been a smooth transition for this country. But for years we had to listen, Gaurav, of how there is dictatorship, how this is that, how people of India are a certain view. But they've always been intelligent.
Response. I absolutely agree with you. It's a perfect response to those who said that there's a democratic backslide in India, and those foreign publications who latched on, those parachute journalists who know nothing about India, they latched on to all of this and criticized India overseas. And then organizations like VDEM, with their flawed system, were saying that India is no longer a democracy and that we are an elected autocracy. This is humble pie moment for them.
Okay, Preeti?
Well, Shiv, I've spent...
Big message.
I've spent about, say, 48 days in the Hindi heartland. And I just want to begin with one thing. The most poor in this country, and I have actually gone village to village where Uttar Pradesh was concerned, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh as well. But there's one message that is very clear. That is, the common man might have very, very meager means, very little in their hand, but they know their value of their vote. The vote is everything for them. And what we've done, is somewhere down the line, we've gotten carried away from either sides of the divide. We haven't heard what the common man wanted. And for me, I think this election, it's the biggest message that is coming in. And there are a few things I'd like to say. Number one, don't take me for granted. Don't come and tell me you're coming back. Because all I have is the power of that one vote. Don't tell me ke is bar 400 par. Because that hurts me, because my power is only that one vote. So for me, that was my number one, what I picked up on ground. Number two, I'll just tell you what I found. My big takeaways on what I found on ground. Number two, we've gone ad nauseum about La Bharti, new constituency, La Bharti. You know, the La Bharti today is not satiated with just 5 kilos of ration. The La Bharti wants more. And the La Bharti in terms of just the demography, if you look at it, Uttar Pradesh is the maximum of it. He's given a very clear message that doesn't cut it anymore. Number 3 is one of my biggest observations, Shiv. We've always now, earlier on we used to say the woman vote is important.
Mahila
Mahila vote. Then we've started considering the woman vote as a monolith, that it votes in one direction. Modi's vote. No. Women vote differently than men, but women vote differently than other women as well. So if you look at the whole states, all states put together, women of Haryana have voted differently than the women of Rajasthan. What worked for Mamta Banerjee in direct cash transfer did not work for Jagan or even an Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi.
Okay.
So that is broken.
So don't take the voter for granted is Preeti's big message. We'll go into the other details and do another round. Sahil and then Nabila. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, in 2014, everybody suddenly started saying that, now that coalition era is gone. The regional parties will shrink. In 2024, when the exit polls came in, everybody started saying, okay, this is going to be the presidential format of the election. I think the people have shown that no. The regional parties in a federal structure of India are important and they keep the balance of power. And that is what is the biggest takeaway, according to me, in this election, because the regional parties had fought well against the might and strength of the BJP. Secondly, what Preeti said, I will just take it 1 inch further. The Prime Minister kept saying that, we are fighting against the corruption. The Prime Minister kept saying that the opposition carry forwards the people who are corrupt on their stage. But, there is a saying, which I think Rajdeep used it a lot of time. The public hai sab janti hai. They realize that, no, you are doing
which
the same
is a line
thing.
that Rajdeep likes using very often.
No, that's from a film.
On air and on
That's from a film called Roti with Rajesh Khanna. And I grew up on Rajesh Khanna.
You use that line twice on your social media since the verdict had come out.
So
I must have used it 200 times in journalism over the years. Whenever I'm lost for a line, I turn to the public.
Yeah.
They are the Janata, the Janardhan.
No,
they have made everyone eat humble pie, including Gaurav Sawant, including Rajdeep Sardesai.
That line is absolutely correct. The people actually saw through it. When the Prime Minister makes a speech at Bhopal rally saying 70,000 crore irrigation scam, and immediately after 4 days, you're sharing a dais with Ajit Pawar in Maharashtra. That has not gone down well with people. People like politics, but people don't like boosting your ego, saying that, okay, I broke 2 parties and brought back to power. People don't like that. That is another takeaway. And third most important takeaway is that do not take people for granted simply because you're transferring money to their account. Just do not say that because you have this massive government machinery providing free ration, giving a direct transfer money to the farmers, does not mean that they are happy with it. So don't go and say, coming up with a list, 80 crore logo ko humne ye baata hai. No, people don't like it. People want to go further.
Yeah.
Why? You have to understand that why you have to do this even after 10 years of your rule is because the people are still there in the poverty, and that's why you have to do this. That is where you start going wrong. And lastly, most importantly, I know you have to go further, but most importantly, it is not enough. You cannot say that I have such a big machinery of social media team. I can do the biggest marketing events. Does not mean that always it's liked by people. It does not mean that it's liked by people, and that is the biggest step. And for journalists, basically, ask questions. Do not do the interviews, because interviews do not matter. Go and ask the questions. If you do not ask the questions, that interview is not watched.
I'm happy to give you extra time, Sahil, because you are a guest of honor and you should be on Democratic Newsroom more often, including all our other people from our other centers as well. This is an open invitation. Nabila, yes. National message, if you think there is any.
For the national message, if I speak specifically of South India, I'd say for the BJP, the Kamal has blossomed. If I could speak on those lines, BJP has done far better in the southern parts of India than it ever has. So all their efforts that they push to try and make inroads into places like Kerala, though that many attempts, Prime Minister Modi visiting Kerala so many times has borne fruit. Ultimately, They have opened an account
seat,
which never happened in history, all right? Then you have Karnataka. Despite the Congress government being in power, the BJP still managed to maintain 17 seats. It's a big number. Out of the 25, they've come down to 17 with the NDA alliance together with JDS. They managed 20. So that's 5 short.
And Andhra and Telangana, where you travelled.
Then you have Telangana, 4 seats to 10 or 11 that they've managed in Telangana, which is whopping. That's a massive jump. But here I would say that they managed to completely eat into the BRS's vote share, and I hear that the BRS has tacitly supported the BJP as well in a way.
But what is the big message from that?
Because I'll tell you, because they see Congress as a bigger threat and not the BJP, right? And Andhra Pradesh, we've seen a sweep. Ultimately, Chandrababu Naidu itself is the man who's aiding the NDA finally to form the government. The big takeaway that I see here is all that push and effort, the special push and effort that the BJP put in South India, somehow they kind of managed to, they lacked that kind of vision for North. They felt the North Indian bastion, North India itself is their bastion. That they had that vote bank irrespective, they're not going to move anywhere. And that Hindutva or Hindu nationalist rhetoric that they pushed in North India kind of saturated, but worked very well in the South.
Yeah,
In a way, I felt.
Enough.
Yeah, but it worked.
Enough.
Where, in Tamil Nadu, where they didn't open their account, they've still managed to increase their vote share. So in that sense,
and two gateways to the south from Andhra and Telangana, where it was previously just Karnataka. I'll come to that in the second round. I don't want to go off the rails as far as just one state is concerned. But
Shiv, I have a key takeaway.
No, but basically, Nabila, you're saying that that north-south divide narrative that was put out, perhaps. The BJP was able to trample it a little bit.
Ayodhya, one second. Ayodhya, the candidate in Ayodhya lost itself should tell you one thing, that North India was almost saturated with that Hindutva pitch.
I'm going to come to Ram Rajya in a moment.
But South was very excited about the Ram Mandir. Andhra Pradesh was very excited about Ram Mandir. Telangana was very excited about Ram Mandir. Mind you.
My key takeaway is that every neta should know that you're only on the stage in a mass rally. It's your ground cadre that gets you the vote, that goes door to door to send across your message. There is a reason they won mammoth and all seats in Madhya Pradesh, because the leadership to the ground cadre were on the same page. There's a reason in Uttar Pradesh, and I sort of feel bad for the BJP also. I mean, you construct this huge mandir, you bring peace in Jammu and Kashmir, have a voter turnout, and yet you lose in Uttar Pradesh in Ayodhya. The reason was, my assessment and my understanding was, you took the ground cadre for granted, you think you made the mandir and you're done, while the India bloc went door to door, had a good candidate, they thought on political and caste calculations. Till the last day, India bloc leaders with their ground cadre were going to people with whatever messaging, while the BJP, primarily the NDA, thought we are done, we are sorted, they are ours. Know your cadre, know those people, listen to them, listen to the organizational structure that the BJP has been known for.
People have voted for consensus. People have voted for consensus.
Yeah,
that is the biggest takeaway.
Look, see, once one gets into the numbers, then it becomes a different discussion. I'm sure the episode 2 will be about that. I'm going to cancel your flight and keep you here, Sahil. But Poulomi, you traveled to many different states, east to west, from Gujarat to Bengal to UP to other places. So you know what Pooja is talking about, cadre and the mood from the ground. Is there a big message? Because there is an irony also at play here. On the one hand, this was a national election. On the other hand, it was not a national election. It was individual. Like Rajdeep said, it was a state-by-state, seat-by-seat kind of election. So is there a national message?
Absolutely. I agree with that point which was made by Rajdeep, and Preeti also mentioned it as well, about not treating the country as one sort of a monolith, where you think that what works in Uttar Pradesh will work, the same sort of messaging will work in a West Bengal, or the same sort of messaging will work in a Maharashtra or in a Karnataka. It works very differently to treat the voter. One of the big messages, as has been said also on this forum, is don't take the voter for granted. Don't underestimate the voters' intelligence, that they're not watching what you're saying, that they're not taking in every bit of what you're saying and your narrative that you're trying to set. But there are real issues. They're dealing with real issues, and that is what they're looking for answers based on. So don't take the voter for granted. Don't take the entire country as some sort of a monolith, because what is a story when I go to a Kerala is completely different as opposed to the story when I go to a Gujarat. You treat it very differently. You see the issues are very different. Caste works somewhere, caste doesn't work somewhere. If you're looking at basically polarizing the voter on the basis of caste, religion, everything. it's not going to work everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the sort of messaging that this election has given out in a large way. And of course, it has been a humbling election. At the end of the day, arrogance doesn't work. I think the BJP also realized it early on itself. You know, you saw the 400 par nara go out of fashion
it was muted for a while.
very fast into the election, the couple of phases, and then you wouldn't hear of it, because they do realize that that is not something. One, of course, the fact that their own cadre sat back and said, Karna kya hai? 400 par to aa raha hai. So why should we even step out and work about it? And secondly, the voter doesn't like that.